She hadn't eaten in 8 days. Shelter. Staff said she was too old, too far, gone. But then someone whispered her name, and the 17-year-old German Shepard did something no one expected. What happened next left the entire room frozen and turned heartbreak into one final unforgettable miracle. The kennel was quietest in the back corner. That's where Suddy lay, motionless, curled into herself like a ghost in the shape of a dog. At 17 years old, the German Shepard had seen a full life, but none of it prepared her for this. Her fur, once thick and proud, had dulled with age. Her eyes no longer watched. They waited for something or someone. Suddy had been brought in just 7 days ago. Her owner, an elderly man who lived alone, had passed suddenly. There was no family to take her in, no backup plan. One moment she was curled at his feet. The next she was in a cold metal cage, surrounded by unfamiliar voices and unfamiliar smells. She refused to eat. The shelter staff tried everything. Hand-fed chicken, warm broth, gentle voices, classical music. Nothing worked. She didn't bark. She didn't lift her head. She didn't even respond to her own name. Suddy had shut down completely. She wasn't just mourning. She was letting go. Dr. Patel, the attending vet, shook his head after the third exam. She's not sick, he said. She's grieving herself too. Death. Some dogs just stop when their person's gone. The volunteers kept her comfortable, brought blankets, whispered soft encouragements through the bars. But every day she grew thinner. Her breathing slowed, her spark dimmed. They didn't say out loud, but they all felt it. Suddy wouldn't last a week. The shelter director quietly made space on the schedule. If nothing changed, she'd be humanely euthanized by Friday. Not out of cruelty, but to end her suffering. But in that still, silent corner of the shelter, something hadn't faded yet. A memory, a voice, a reason to hold on. And that reason was closer than anyone could have imagined. Rachel hadn't meant to stop at the shelter that day. She was just dropping off old towels and blankets, things she no longer needed after moving into her new apartment across town. But as she stepped inside, something tugged at her, a subtle pull. She looked around and asked if they needed extra help. We're always short-staffed. The receptionist smiled. If you got time, we've got dogs. That's how she ended up walking past row after row of kennels, gently tossing treats, greeting wagging tails. But when she reached the last kennel on the left, she froze. There in the corner was a dog that didn't move. Her body was thin, her fur faded with time, her ears drooped, eyes empty. But Rachel didn't look at the condition. She looked at the eyes. She knew those eyes. Heart pounding. Rachel stepped closer and scanned the nameplate. SADIE age. 17. Owner deceased. Intake date 7 days ago. Her breath caught. Number it. Couldn't be, but deep down she knew it was years ago when Rachel was in high school. She lived next door to an old man and his loyal German shepherd. Suddy had been younger then, alert, proud, always watching the world with eyes that missed nothing. Rachel used to sneak her leftover sandwich crust through the fence. They had a bond, a quiet one, but real. Sati, she whispered, no movement. Rachel stepped even closer, crouched low. Sadie girl, it's me. Remember? Still nothing. And then an almost imperceptible twitch of an ear. Rachel's throat tightened, her voice softened, further mimicking the gentle cadence the old man used. Sadie girl, you're not alone. From behind the glass, Sadie stirred, The past had returned, and with it a sliver of something unexpected. Hope. The moment passed like a whisper. Barely there, almost imagined, but Rachel saw it. Sada's ear flicked again. Then slowly, painfully, her head lifted from her paws. Her eyes clouded with grief tried to focus. Rachel leaned in, tears already filling her eyes. Yes, girl, it's me, she said gently. I didn't forget you. Suddy blinked, then let out the faintest whine. It was hoarse, like a breath trying to form words that didn't exist. The shelter. Volunteer standing nearby gasped. That's the first sound she's made since she